The airport was buzzing with the usual chaos, luggage wheels clattering across the polished floor, muffled announcements echoing overhead, and travelers moving briskly to make their flights. Amid this whirlwind, Marcus and Danielle stood patiently in line to board their flight, their two young children holding their hands tightly. The family was dressed casually, their warm smiles making them stand out amidst the sea of hurried travelers. It was supposed to be a routine trip to visit Danielle's mother for her birthday, a simple family getaway. As they approached the gate, the flight attendant greeted passengers with a forced politeness, a smile more practiced than genuine. Her sharp blue uniform was immaculate, but her demeanor told another story. She was clearly on edge, her irritation just beneath the surface. When it was the couple's turn to board, the woman's gaze flickered briefly over them before her expression hardened. "Can I see your tickets again?" the attendant asked, her tone clipped and noticeably colder than had been with the passengers ahead of them. Marcus handed over the boarding passes with a polite nod, trying to keep things light. "Here you go," excited to finally get going. The attendant examined the tickets as if searching for a flaw, her lips pursed. "This doesn't look right," she said, tapping her perfectly manicured nails against the paper. "Are you sure you're in the right line? This is for first class." Danielle raised an eyebrow, but kept her voice steady. "We're in the right place. Seats 2A and 2B. The attendant's eyes narrowed. "Aha," she said, her tone dripping with skepticism. She handed the tickets back with a huff, but not before muttering under her breath, just loud enough for them to hear, "Well, this should be interesting." Danielle's heart sank, but she forced a smile for the sake of her children. Marcus gave her hand a reassuring squeeze as they walked down the jet bridge, trying to shake off the encounter. Still, the sting of the interaction lingered. Once on board, the same flight attendant was waiting near the cabin entrance. Her demeanor had shifted again, but not for the better. She directed them to their seats with a fake smile that vanished the moment they passed by. They couldn't ignore the way her eyes followed them, the judgment practically radiating off her. Settling into their seats, Danielle whispered to Marcus, "Do you think she has a problem with us?" Before Marcus could respond, the attendant returned, her voice overly loud. "I need to make sure you're aware of our first-class policies. It's a more exclusive space, so please ensure your children don't disturb the other passengers." Danielle stiffened. "Excuse me," she said, keeping her voice calm but firm. "Our children are well behaved." The attendant crossed her arms, her lips twitching into a mocking smirk. "I'll be the judge of that." The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. Other passengers began to take notice, their curious eyes darting between the attendant and the family. Marcus opened his mouth to say something, but Danielle stopped him with a subtle shake of her head. She didn't want to escalate the situation, at least not yet. But things didn't stop there. Over the next few minutes, the attendant seemed to make it her mission to undermine the couple. From questioning their requests for water to giving curt, dismissive answers to basic questions, her disdain was impossible to ignore. Every interaction felt like another jab, another attempt to put them in their place. Danielle's patience was wearing thin. She exchanged a look with Marcus, her eyes silently asking if they should speak up. Marcus nodded, his jaw set with quiet determination. Before either of them could act, however, something happened that neither of them saw coming. A man in a sharp suit, who had been observing the entire exchange from a nearby seat, stood up. He walked purposefully toward the attendant, his expression unreadable. The moment he spoke, his voice was firm and authoritative. "Excuse me, miss," he said, drawing everyone's attention. "May I have a word with you?" The flight attendant turned, her confident demeanor faltering for the first time. She didn't recognize him, but his commanding presence made it clear he wasn't someone to be ignored. With a nervous nod, she followed him to a quieter corner of the cabin. Back in their seats, Marcus and Danielle exchanged bewildered glances. Who was this man? And what was he about to do? The murmurs among the other passengers grew louder as everyone speculated about what was happening. The flight attendant returned a few minutes later, her face pale and her movements stiff. She didn't say another word to the couple, but something in the air had shifted. Just as the family began to relax, The man in the suit approached them, a warm smile replacing his earlier stern expression. "Mr. and Mrs. Johnson," he asked, his tone gentle, "I'd like to personally apologize for everything you've experienced so far. It's unacceptable, and we're addressing it immediately." Danielle blinked, caught off guard. "Who are you?" she asked hesitantly. The man extended his hand. "I'm the head of customer experience of this airline," he said. "And trust me, this situation is being handled." Before they could process his words, the sound of an announcement crackled over the intercom. The captain's voice came through, steady and professional. "Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to inform you of a brief delay. Thank you for your patience." As the plane sat still on the tarmac, the flight attendant was nowhere to be seen. Whispers spread through the cabin, passengers craning their necks to get a better view of the commotion happening outside. Danielle glanced at Marcus, her heart racing. "What do you think they're doing?" Marcus shook his head, his expression a mix of confusion and hope. "I don't know," he said softly, "but I think we're about to find out."